Recording has started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on 7 steps to ignite your website or e-commerce store profits post-pandemic. Today's webinar is sponsored by Pitney Bowes. Pitney Bowes has been a longtime supporter of SCORE Fairfield County education programs, and we thank them very much for sponsoring today's program. I'm Mike Clem, a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County, and I'll be your host. Our presenter today is Ed Winslow. More on Ed in just a minute. First, let me provide some information about SCORE. If I can have the next slide, Ed, please. SCORE is a nationwide organization including over 11,000 volunteers with more than 300 offices around the country, providing free advice to small business owners. SCORE Fairfield County is comprised of more than 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. SCORE Fairfield County provides 3 primary services. First of all, we provide free one-on-one counseling, which includes face-to-face, but in today's environment, focus more on email, telephone, and video. And if you like a counselor, you can please access the Request a Mentor link on our website or via the link on the screen. Secondly, we offer educational workshops and webinars, offering more than 150 programs yearly. And finally, we have an extensive list of resources on our website, including a network of subject matter experts at your disposal. Our next webinar is tomorrow at noon on how to get a handle on your email inbox with Belinda Wasser presenting. Please look for the details and register for this webinar on fairfieldcounty.score.org. Now let me provide you some useful information about today's webinar. We have set aside some time for Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you have a question, please use the chat window at any time during the presentation. It is located in the lower part of your screen. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 p.m. to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available at fairfieldcounty.score.org within the next couple of days. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's webinar. Our speaker today is Ed Winslow, who's the founder of Niche Quest Media, a digital marketing agency focused on lead generation strategies for small to mid-sized businesses. Ed has worked with a broad range of businesses in the healthcare, real estate, and construction industries to effectively promote their business content on social media and other digital platforms to help them grow their customer bases. I'll now turn it over to Ed. It's all yours, Ed.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, so let me advance this right here. Okay, great. All right, so what I'm going to go over today, I'm going to talk about the 3 stages of your customer. I'm going to talk a little bit about Google optimization. I'm going to talk a lot about keywords, and I'm going to go over a couple of keyword tools that are really that I use on a daily basis. Some that are free and some that cost money. Keywords are the foundation of everything online. When I first got into the internet about 15 years ago, I was really fortunate to hook up with a company that had a consulting business on internet marketing. And we spent about a year going over keywords, and keywords are really amazing. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of results. I'm going to talk a little bit about domain names, and I'm going to talk about Google My Business and Maps. Some amazing things. I'm going to show you some actual results. Most people are not aware of the potential of Google My Business and Maps. And I'm going to show you some pretty amazing results that we've been able to help clients achieve. And we never knew that we were able to get these kind of results either. I'm going to talk a little bit about web pages and blogs. And then I'm going to talk about retargeting, and what is retargeting, and I'm going to show you a couple samples and why it's important. So let's start here. I think this is really interesting. I was up on the Cape over July 4th weekend, and I saw this boat. You know, we never see boats like this. This boat was amazing. It was 260 feet, and it sat there for 3 days. And we got within about 200 yards of the boat, so I could see the name of the boat on the side, called the Excellence. And I'm wondering, who the heck owns this boat? So I go on my mobile phone while I'm out there and I do a search, excellence yacht owner. And it was a guy named, I found that it was owned by a guy named Herb Chambers, who owns 60 car dealerships, all within 75 miles of Boston. And I just thought that that was really amazing because apparently he's worth a couple $1 billion. He started from scratch. I don't think he went to college. I think he went into the Navy, and then he got into selling copiers, and then made some money doing that, and then bought his first car dealership. But what's really amazing is that here's a guy who's one of the wealthiest guys in the world. He's able to afford a 260-foot yacht, and he's making all his money within 75 miles of Boston. And I think, I talk to a lot of business owners who want to go national. They want to get this exposure on a broad national basis on the internet with their website. And the reality is that if you look at this guy, he did $3 billion worth of car sales last year, all within 75 miles of Boston. There's so many amazing local opportunities that you can capitalize on the internet. You do not have to go that far. That's the point of this. So this story I'm going to tell you here, this is an amazing story, and it really validates the local potential. And this is a painting contractor that I've been working with for a long time. And you can see in the map on the left, he's out in Oregon. He's about halfway between Portland and Salem. And he's in a little town called McMinnville, which is about 30,000 people. And there happens to be a water park in the town of McMinnville. And he ended up getting contacted by the owners of the water park, who were planning on a big paint and renovation job for the water park. And they never knew that. So this client of mine was 1 mile away from the water park, his shop, and where he does a lot of business. He does business, all over from Portland to Salem, but they never even heard of him. They never even knew him. It took the internet to find him. And what they started out with, one of the keywords that they searched in the very beginning was industrial metal painters, Oregon. So they're looking for somebody who can handle, some company that can handle the kind of project that they had. And one of the keywords they searched apparently was industrial metal painters in Oregon. And you can see the client ranks number 1 and 2 for that particular search. And you can see what's interesting is that if you look at some of the words that are highlighted under those 2 listings, you can see the word steel is highlighted, the word industrial. In the second one, you can say we also paint metal, roofing, steel frames. So those were the triggers. Those were the keywords that provided a trigger to get these people to click the link and then come over to a page on metal painting. And you can see this was a very, very simple blog. And this is the thing that anybody can do, no matter what size business you are, whether you're a monster multi-billion-dollar business or you're just getting started. What I'm going over here is the same strategy no matter what size you are. But I think the key thing here is to, think about what think about your customers and think about what they're thinking about. What are their issues? In this case, they weren't looking for a painter. They weren't just looking for an industrial painter. They were looking for an industrial painter that could paint metal. And when you land on this particular page and you see the different kinds of paints, acrylics and elastomerics and butyls and all that. I mean, I found this information online. I just did a little bit of research and I just rewrote. I found some manufacturers of metal painting products, and I just rewrote the content based on what I found online. It was very simple. Then what we did was, when you land on, let's just go back for 1 second. So when you land on this particular page, one of the things that we've done is we created what's called a retargeting pixel. And the retargeting pixel is pasted on the back end of the website. And when somebody lands on the website from a search, or however they land on it, whether it's from social media or a Google search or even word of mouth, it triggers this pixel. And when that happens, these kind of ads start to show up. And these ads were sort of interesting because they talk about antibacterial paint and coating. So it's something that's catching people's eye, a little bit different than just painting. But it's with retargeting ads, these ads will follow that website visitor who is on this website. They'll follow him around for a few months at least. And if they come back, let's say 90 days later, and they click one of these ads and they land on the website, it triggers the pixel again. So these ads can continue to be casually in front of that consumer over and over and over. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the mindset of the consumer and the process of converting a prospect to a buyer. So this is pretty neat story. One blog and some retargeting, $700,000 job. And the other thing I might want to add, which is really pretty awesome, is that because he is now the painting contractor who's handling that particular big water park in this small town, everybody knows that he's doing that. And now his word of mouth business and his credibility are just have taken off. I mean, it's just one thing's leading to another. So these are the kind of results that you can get from the internet. A lot of people are not aware that you can get these kind of results. Here's an example like with those ads. Now here's Fox News. This is where these ads will show up on news sites and a lot of other websites. And you can see on the right, this ad showed up on Fox News, but it's only targeted to people that are in that area from Portland to Salem. We don't want somebody from New York who happens to randomly land on the website. We don't want to retarget them. We want to only really retarget potential buyers, we'll call them buyers, in his local market. So this ad is only being shown to anybody looking at Fox News in that specific area. Okay, let me talk, here's another one. This is Custom Aquariums. This is another amazing story. This is a company that I've been working with for years, and they build these really high-end custom aquariums. They design and build custom aquariums, and they started out just two guys, and the internet has been the driver of their business. Without the internet, they would not have been able to build this business. And if you do a search for like Custom Aquariums NY, you can see that they rank right on the top. And this is a Google My Business listing here. And this is where they get a lot of the traffic. And this is you know, the amazing story is that it's produced business all over the United States. They've even traveled internationally from people who have found them online in New York. So this was an amazing thing that I never knew we could achieve this kind of result. But this is pre-COVID. If you can see down below that this was this chart goes through January, almost into February. But they had 133,000 visitors on their Google My Business and Maps page. And that is really significant. The way we ended up boosting these kind of results was there's a number of things we did. One was what's called photo optimization. And this is something that anybody can do that's on this call. If you've got a Google My Business account and you use your iPhone, and it's got your latitude and longitude settings on, and you tag your photo with a keyword phrase like Custom Aquariums NYC, for example, and you upload, you could do this to hundreds of photos and upload it to your Google My Business page. And let's say, like, if you're in New York City, you could do Custom Aquariums Upper East Side, Custom Aquariums Upper West Side, and another photo. You could do Custom Aquariums Midtown and another photo. And these are all, now you're starting to get into more hyper local neighborhood keywords that you can tag on your photos. It only takes a second to do. And then you can upload them to your Google My Business account. And it is a signal to Google as to what you do and where you do it. And so it just something simple like this. Like if you're in Fairfield County, you know, let's say you were in the, you know, insurance business, you could create a photo like home insurance Wilton, home insurance Norwalk, or home insurance Darien, or Rowayton, or on and on and on. And when you upload your photos, and you can upload hundreds of photos into your Google My Business account, by implementing a simple strategy like this, it just gives you a little bit of an edge. It tells Google more about what you do and where you do it. And you know, it gives you an edge over your competition. And that's what we're always looking for, is another edge, because this is all really about sales. Now, they have lost a lot of traffic since the COVID, and you know, they're actually up now to almost 50,000 views in the last 28 days from, you know, where were they, 133,000. If you look at this one here, you can see actually that they really went down to, they really dropped a lot right after, back in, I guess it was late April. But they have been coming back. So the markets, you know, the markets for most people are starting to come back. But a lot of changes out there. You know, a lot of people are, you know, one of the significant changes that I'm seeing is that everybody is now on their mobile phone. And so really what you want to do is you want to capitalize on that visibility on the mobile phone. You know, a lot of people are not going downtown like they used to. They don't need to. The mobile phone is replacing the need to go downtown in a lot of cases. So here's another one. This is for a radiology center that I work with, and they've got about a dozen locations. And again, Google My Business. This is really, really significant. This is one of 12 locations. They had almost 20,000 views in, you know, a 1 month period on their Google My Business, and they had 1,740 phone calls. They had, in the last 30 days, they had about 8,500 phone calls just from their Google My Business account. These are people that are doing a search, they're clicking to call, and you get that result. If you look down on the lower right there where it says call you can see there were 1,740 phone calls. And so I think that's really significant to be aware of, because if nobody ever explained to you how much traffic and how many phone calls and leads that you can generate from Google My Business, and the fact that you can optimize your Google My Business for diverse amount of keywords, because people are searching, everybody's searching something different. It's not like the yellow pages where they might just go and search for, you know, like radiology centers or something like that. It's everybody is searching for something very specific that's unique to them, sort of like the industrial metal roofing or painters in Oregon. You know, that's something very significant. Again, they weren't searching for a painter, they're looking for something specific. And that's really how the internet works. So you really want to like turn your thinking around and put yourself in the position of the consumer. Anyway, let's move on. Let me see how we're doing on time. Okay, good. Anyway, okay, so another thing that really helps your Google My Business optimization, and has also, I just want to show you this. This is pretty neat too. This is what's called a position 0. This is a position that is higher than number 1. And if you look down below, you can see that, well, let's look at the top. The keyword phrase was office space cost, World Trade Center. And I'm gonna show you some keyword tools that will help you out on the next couple slides. But this was, you know, I use keyword tools as a guide. I don't use them as an exact, because they're not exact. You know, one of the things that I found when I first got into the internet was there was a keyword phrase that I thought I could rank for, and according to Google, it was searched 5,000 times a month. And so I was able to get a number 1 ranking, and I thought, wow, this is great. You know, that apparently you get 40% of position number 1, or position 1 gets 40% of the clicks from the search. And so I thought, wow, this is great. I'm going to get 2,000 visitors a month from the search, and all I got was 30. And so, you know, at that point, I realized that the keyword tools are just a guide. They are not an exact. And so one of the things I found here, like with this office space cost World Trade Center, the client that I worked with on this, he's a one-man operation. He owns his own little agency. He represents tenants, finding them office space. And we were able to, with one blog post, we were able to get him the ranking of office space cost the World Trade Center. Now, there's no keyword tool on the planet that would ever say that anybody searches this way. But, naturally, what are people searching? They're not looking for office space at the World Trade Center. They want to know how much it costs. And maybe you don't get that many results, that many searches, that many leads. But when the leads come in, especially when you outrank the owner, I mean, this is a small broker who's outranking the billion-dollar owner of the World Trade Center for office space costs. I mean, look at that. That is called a featured snippet, and that is position 0, and he gets a lot of clicks from that. But his conversion is also very high. He gets a lot of leads. One of the things that we did here to get that kind of result was we used news articles that we submitted to press release sites, and that helped his Google My Business ranking a lot. And one of the reasons why is that with a press release article, you can put your company name, address, and phone number exactly as it matches your Google My Business listing. And that's what Google's looking at. That's called citation optimization. And press release type of articles are amazing for that. And these particular, so what he did was he wrote 2 different articles on his website. They were just blogs. And one was about Penn Station office space. The other was Grand Central office space. Both of those, over different times. Let's see, one was February and the other was April. And he was picked up by what's called Google News. If you see this result here, this Google search here for, and you click news, you can see that he was picked up by Google News. And not only was he picked up by Yahoo Finance, but sites like Morningstar and USA Today and about 400 or 500 other news sites all over the United States. Now, what's interesting about this as well is a lot of writers, website owners that are looking for information, they will set up what are called Google alerts. And when you get picked up by Google News, whoever set up a specific alert for like New York real estate information will see this article, and they may take information from this Yahoo Finance article, and they may put it on their website, and it creates another link from another site over to my client's site, and that's him right there. So anyway, this is another amazing way to boost your Google My Business ranking using press release articles. So this, I think, is really, really fascinating, and this is, I've studied this quite a bit, and it's, how to get results. What are the 3 stages of a customer? And you could really take this out a lot further, but basically there's 3 different layers, 3 different levels of a customer, and that is the unaware customer, there's the aware, and then there's the most aware. So an unaware customer is sort of like the company that's looking for a painting contractor to paint their metal, and they're just entering the market. They don't know exactly what they're looking for, but they're looking for something. They don't really know what it is. They don't know who the right vendor is. They're just entering the market. So they may end up landing on your website. They might do a search. They land on your site. They get a little bit of information, but they're not going to pick up the phone and call you at that moment. So they leave your site. Now, they may come back to your site from a search. Now, if you dominate the search on Google for every possible keywords, like this particular client does, when that customer does another search, that customer might land on their website again. And that's okay. Now you're getting into the aware phase. It's like, okay, I know I need somebody that paints metal. I don't know if this is the right guy, but I'm sort of warming up to him because I've seen him a few times. And originally I searched for a vendor in Oregon, but this guy happens to be in 1 mile away from me, which I never knew. So now, you know, it's getting a little bit warm. And then there's the most aware, and that is the customer that is now educated and they're ready to buy. So anybody that's coming to your website is in that phase. And it's really important to understand that, because somebody who comes to your website is not ready to buy right then and there. So you have to have a way to stay in front of those people over and over, or you're going to lose them to somebody else. And that's where the retargeting comes into play. But if you understand this part, and think about the way you search as well. You know, you come into the market and you learn something, you're in the market to buy something, whether it's a service or a product or whatever it is. A lot of times you're not just going to go buy something right then and there. You might do a search numerous times. You're going to do a lot of research, and that's how clients. That's how you take an unaware customer to a buyer, and it just takes time. So it's important to be out in front of these prospects over and over and over, and that's why it's so key to identify your local market and stay in front of that audience as much as you possibly can, because it might take sometimes years before you convert them. Okay, quick about key search engine optimization. There are really two parts of it. There's what's on your website. It's the keywords targeting each individual page. Google's looking at the page content. They're looking at what keywords you're targeting on a particular page. And they are, and this is an important thing, I think, is that if you take 10 different websites and every one of them has equally good content on their web page per what Google's really looking for, what's the difference? Why would one rank number 1 and one rank number 10? Or let's say if you had 30 different businesses and every one of them had equally good content, why does one rank number 1 and one rank number 30? Well, the difference is what are called inbound links, and these are links from other websites. So this is really the essence of search engine optimization. It's getting links from other sites that are linking over to your site. And the more of those more websites that are especially relevant and quality, it's not just all about quantity, it's relevant and quality, that are linking over to you, the higher you're going to move up in the search engines. Okay. Choosing a domain name. This is something that's really key. I've agonized with this for years. When I started nichequest.com, I had an idea in my head that, I thought I was clever, that the idea behind NicheQuest was that, I found that there are all these niches within a business, and, it's always a quest for those niches, sort of like the metal, metal painting. That was a very specific niche. We did not know that we were going to get the results that we did. But I recently launched a site called igniteyourseo.com, and that's much clearer to the consumer. And the other thing is that when you have one of your core keywords in your domain name, it's going to help your ranking. It's going to make it less expensive for you to get the ranking results. You're going to need less backlinks than your competitor if you have a keyword phrase in your title. And more specifically, if it was like Fairfield County SEO, it would be a lot easier to rank in Fairfield County than if I don't have it. So keywords, if you're in the position right now where you're just getting started and you're looking to buy a domain name, keep it in mind that you want to try and get your keyword, one of your core keywords, in your title, and geographically, if that works. The only issue is that, like, let's say I chose a domain name like Norwalk SEO, it would make it very hard for me to rank for Greenwich SEO because I'm very specific to Norwalk. So those are things to consider. Okay, keyword tools. They're the foundation of everything online, and there are 5 keyword tools that I use all the time. One is called Keywords Everywhere. It's a $10 a year tool. There's Google Suggest, which I'll show you in a second. There's Answer the Public, which is a free resource. I use YouTube and Ahrefs. And so let me show you examples. So this one here, this is keywords everywhere. It'll probably only cost me $10 for the year. They charge you for the amount of use, but it's a very, very inexpensive tool. You can click there's a little icon in the upper right when you launch the program. You can turn it on and off, so you don't have to pay for it when you're not using it. But if you look here, I did a search. Here's an example: dentists Invisalign, and you can see over on the right, the tool will populate the keywords numerous keywords that relate to that topic. It'll show you the volume on a monthly basis, and it'll show you the cost per click. So it gives you a pretty good guide as to what are the keywords that you want to think about targeting for your business. Now, Google Suggest is another one. This is a free tool. I use this all the time because I'm always thinking, like I said, about, what are people searching? And you can take a keyword like, let's say dentist, for example, and you can type in the letter A, and Google will drop down all the words that people are searching that begin with the letter A, and then you can go to letter B, and then you can go. In this one here, I typed in dentist and I typed in the letter D, and you can see that people are searching dentist during COVID, dentist Delta Dental, which I think is awesome because that's a really interesting one for a dentist, because people are obviously searching for dentists who take Delta Dental, which indicates that they're probably searching for a dentist who takes Cigna and Blue Cross and that kind of thing. And very likely that no keyword tool is going to tell you that, but this is giving you a heads up that people are searching this way. So if you go through the entire alphabet, you're going to start to be able to put together a story based on what people are searching for. You can see down at the bottom, dentist during pandemic. So it tells you something new. I've never seen these kind of results before. Question and answers. This is another really big one. This is, again, this is free. This is a way to find out very simply by doing some simple searches the questions that Google is showing you that people are searching for. And every time you click one of these, if you look over on the right, it's got like that little down arrow. Every time you click one of these, Google's going to show you more questions that are relevant to that search. You can take these questions and these answers, and you can just use the resources that you find, and you can rewrite the content, and then you can localize it for your local market. So if you're a dentist in, let's say, Norwalk, here are all the questions that people are looking for related to Invisalign. You could do the same thing for implants and veneers and teeth whitening, and now you're creating an amazing resource that's going to help you rank for countless keyword searches. Answerthepublic.com, awesome site. This is you can use this for free for a couple times a day. If you start using it a lot, you're going to have to upgrade to the pro version, which is about $100 a month. But you can use it if you're not doing a lot of searches. You can use this pretty much every day. So you can search a particular keyword, and it's going to show you all the keywords or all the type of questions, comparisons, prepositions. Like this, here's an example of 40 comparisons for Invisalign. So really, really great way to find topics to write about. Another one, YouTube. YouTube is another free tool. Love using YouTube because YouTube is telling us, like in this one here, I tried to search for Invisalign. And if you look at like number 2 here, Innovative Dental of Springfield, they got 350,000 views on this video in the last 8 months. I didn't look at this video, but imagine getting 350,000 views to a video for your business. Well, you can actually take this video and you can reverse engineer it and probably create your own video. And I can't guarantee you're going to get results like this, but but at least you know where the demand is. And this is demand driven. The internet is demand driven marketing. So that's what you want to do. You want to build around the demand. And today it's amazing. It's not like it was years ago where we didn't know any of this information. This is all, today you can reverse engineer pretty much anybody and build your website strategy to outperform your competitors just by following this simple process. Here's Ahrefs, great tool. Love this tool, use this a lot. This is a paid tool. But like if you look at, I did a search here for Invisalign, and you can see that this site they have 376,000 backlinks from 14,000 websites. And so you can measure what it's going to take in your market to outperform your competition when it comes to the backlinks. So if you want to rank number one, you can use this tool and you can reverse engineer your competitors' websites. You can find out what keywords they're ranking for, what pages they're ranking for, what their top pages are. You can look at how many backlinks they have, where the backlinks are from. If you look over here on the left, you can see they have these fields. You just click organic keywords. You can see what they're ranking for. You can click top pages. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Here's an example. This is Invisalign. And look at these pages here. It's telling you what are their top keywords on a particular page that they're ranking for. And it tells you how much volume there is for each one of these keywords for this topic. You can then, if you're a dentist, you could go through and you could take, just click the link right here. It's going to take you right over to the page. So you can see the top pages for Invisalign, and then you can just rewrite those pages for your dental practice. And you already know what's in demand. You know what already works. You don't have to speculate. Why recreate the wheel? It's already right there in front of you. Again, going back to, retargeting. Like here's an ad for like Invisalign. Get a perfect smile with Invisalign. So this is a great strategy for a dentist, because a lot of people might be in the market looking for dental services. They land on a website and they don't convert. Well, if you keep creating messages over and over and over, when they're ready to pull the trigger, you're in front of them. Okay, that's about it. That was a pretty long-winded. I hope that was not too much. But, in summary, keywords are your currency. Keywords are money. They're not, take them seriously, because it is money. When you get results with your website, it is the best investment that you could possibly ever make. There's no commodity investing or real estate investing or stock investing that's going to give you the kind of return on the investment of the internet when you do it right, especially if it's in your own business. The keyword tools, I went over those. Those are really, really important. And then Google My Business, I showed you what the potential is and what kind of results that you can get. And I talked about the press release articles that are a big, big driver of your Google My Business rankings. There are other things such as directory listings, and I talked a little bit about optimizing photos. All those little things help. And I might add that your Google My Business and your website, they feed off each other. They work together. So there's a number of things that you can do with your Google My Business to align it with your website so that they both feed off each other. I talked a little bit about pages and blogs. I wish I had more time to go through and show you exactly. There's like a format. There's like a template that I use all the time, so that I can create pages and blogs very, very quickly. Sort of the same strategy over and over and over, so that it's every time you sit down and write a blog or add a new web page, it's not like recreating the wheel. You follow a simple formula and you just replicate and replicate and replicate. I did show you, like with Ahrefs and answer the public. We can already figure out what people are looking for, and all the content that you need to ever rewrite all the information is already online. So, and then retargeting. So that's, we talked about retargeting and the retargeting ads. So that's really about it. I always like to share this. This is really significant. I like to look at this a lot for myself, because, the thing with marketing, again, going back to the different levels of a customer, the thing is, you just got to stay out there. The biggest mistake that any of us make is when we quit or we deviate. But you got to stay in front of your consumer over and over and over. As soon as you look at it and say, well, this isn't working, and you deviate or you stop, even Herb Chambers, let's go back to Herb Chambers with his big boats, with his big yachts. everybody knows him up in the Boston area because he's so visible everywhere. But if he sold those his dealerships to somebody else and they changed the name from Herb Chambers whatever to some other business name, you know, a year from now nobody'd remember Herb Chambers. You know, so the key is to identify your market and just stay in front of them over and over and over and don't stop. So that's it. Here's some information here. Actually, if you go over to igniteyourseo.com, I do have a link where we will make you a free banner ad that you can use on, you can use on Facebook or Instagram or wherever. So if if you want that, go over to igniteyourseo.com. There's a link where you can get we'll make you a free ad. And that's it. That's all I have to say. I hope that pretty much wraps up what I had my intention for today.
Okay, well, great. Thank you very much, Ed. And now we'll spend the rest of the time here devoted to Q&A, and I have several questions already in the chat box. And if anybody else has any questions, please drop them in the chat box and we'll get to as many as possible. Ed, a couple on Google My Business. One question was, there are 3 headlines in Google My Business. Is it best to list your business name or perhaps a service in the first headline? Does it matter?
Well, if it's in your company name, you can, like, if you're, let's say it's my business, Ignite Your SEO, for example. It could be Ignite Your SEO from Fairfield County. So you can add a little bit to that. There are there's a couple areas. Let's see. There's a description area where you can add keywords that are related to your business, and I would not be bashful about telling Google, using that field, what you do, a little bit about where you do it, what are some of the core keywords. You can use that field to optimize your Google My Business. Any little edge that you can give Google, the better. If you don't tell Google, Google's like an answer man. If you don't tell Google what you do and where you do it, they're not going to know. They're not, like, they can pick up certain things and they might feature you for certain things that you didn't intend to rank for, but you've got to tell them. You've got to tell them what you do and where you do it. I hope that helps.
Good. Another question on Google My Business. Now, for a business that's selling to, in this case, hospitals nationwide, or perhaps any business selling nationwide, is Google My Business effective?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things with Google My Business is that it's got the review component. So when somebody, if you're selling to hospitals on a nationwide basis, they're going to check you out, number one. And so if you are out there soliciting reviews and you're getting positive reviews, one of the things they're going to do is, and this is what everybody's doing today, is they're going to go and they're going to check you out. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look at your maybe look at your Facebook page or Instagram page. They're going to look at your reviews. They might even go look at videos. So YouTube reviews, all related to your Google My Business account. Now, on a nationwide basis, if you have the opportunity of setting up a Google My Business in different cities, if there's a way that you can get a location in different cities, you can create multiple Google My Business accounts around the country. And it really, really helps. It really, I tell you, Google My Business helps your optimization. I recently had a Google My Business account was hacked and I lost control of it. And when I lost control of it, somebody hacked in, pushed me out. They took over the account. I ended up getting it back. Took me a couple months, but when I lost control, they turned one of my sites from like a concrete flooring site into an insurance site. And immediately my website leads that were coming in every day stopped cold. So, that sort of validates the importance of Google My Business, even if you're a national business.
Okay, good. How about for a subscription-based service business? How would you use these tools in that case?
Uh, well, how would you use them? Well, first of all, you want to write pages around what your consumers, your subscription base is interested in. And even if you don't use, even if you're not ranking on Google, what these tools are telling you is what your consumers are interested in. So even if you can find all the topics, all the questions, all the answers of what your subscription base might be interested in based on different keywords that relate to your business, even if you don't rank for it, it does tell you what it gives you a blueprint to what your social media content should say. You can use Google to find out what the demand is, and then you can use that demand and recreate different posts and videos. So there's a lot of different ways to use these tools.
Okay, good. Hey, Ed, could you put up on the screen your keyword tools slide? Somebody like to see that again, maybe get a screenshot of it.
Let's see.
What was that?
This one here.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, and while you have that up, I'll just ask you a different question. Is you were showing the Google Suggest and YouTube tools there. When you actually use those tools, are you just putting whatever information you want in the standard kind of search bar, or is there any special URL you're going to on that?
Well, when I like for YouTube, with YouTube, where is YouTube? Here it is, YouTube. Yeah, just go to youtube.com and just do a search. So YouTube is a search engine, just like Google. And, like in this one, I just typed in Invisalign. That's very basic. But I could search other keywords like Invisalign cost. And I'm going to get a whole nother set of videos. And then you can look at those videos. You could do Invisalign versus Smile Direct Club. Like you can see right here, Smile Direct Club. So Invisalign versus Smile Direct Club, and you might find videos that compare the two. So you can, if you take any of the questions from, like if you go over to, like right here, you've gone over to answer the public, right? And you've typed in whatever, the keyword, let's say just Invisalign. And let's see. Let's do versus. So you could do a search in Invisalign versus braces, or Invisalign versus Smile Direct, Invisalign versus veneers, and you could do those searches in YouTube, and you're going to get a whole nother set of videos. Now you can optimize videos pretty simply, but if you understand keywords, you're going to understand how to capitalize on everything online, because I don't care whether you're on Amazon or you're, Pinterest, or, it's Google My Business or Google SEO. It doesn't matter what it is. Keywords this is what the internet is built on, and keywords are very, very valuable. Sometimes you have to be, you have to try different things and see what works. The only reason I know that the metal thing works was because by chance I had another client a number of years ago who was in the painting and floor coating business. We linked like a painting page to their roofing page or something like that, and they ended up ranking by chance. Google ranked them for roof painters, and that lead turned into a client that owned hundreds of franchise buildings all over the western part of the United States. And that contractor got that piece of business from somebody searching for something that was a keyword that they never even thought about. So the more of this that you can put together, Google will rank you. If you become an authority, if you become a really good information provider and they trust you because you've got good backlinks, you've got good online content, you're creating really, really good content, you will start to rank for things that you never even thought people would search for. and it's sort of like gaining your own inside information, which is really pretty neat. You can always find unique markets, like, for example, like, I showed you the, if we go back up here, let's see, where is that? This one. This is just, this thought process is why we created these ads, because, the client said to me, he said, well, why don't we create some ads about antibacterial paint? And, because that's a very topical idea right now. But when this client understands, the power of this, because we've worked together for so many years, and we're always talking about, okay, how can we capitalize on a very unique keywords? And sometimes we'll go after a certain keyword and we'll just create a blog, and we know we can get ranked on Google because there's not a lot of competition for it. And sometimes they get really good results and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they only get a little bit of result, or sometimes zero, but you got to try. And it's a way that you can open up markets that you never even knew existed with your business.
Okay. Hey, Ed, while you're on this chart here, someone's asked, trying to get an idea of the cost involved from a marketing budget perspective. What sort of marketing budget did this Oregon painter have to have for some of the things you're talking about here?
I would say that, just first keep in mind the return, you got to keep in mind the return on the investment. And, I find today, it's not like it was years ago where you could actually get some, results for, free or very little money. Today, you got to really be in the $500 or $600 a month range. Up to this particular client, he pays about $2,000 a month right now. No, actually it's higher, $2,500 a month, because of we included the ads, but he's making, his net income is like, he's a small contractor. He only has 3 crews. He started out with just one guy when I started working with him. But he's probably netting 400,000 net, 500,000 after all expenses. He's up to he does about 30% margins with his business, and he's up at around $1.6 million. And he just works in a small area where he can, within 45 minutes. So he didn't start at that level. He didn't start at $2,500 a month. He started small and he expanded. So,
Okay.
Most of the, and if you're in a local market, in most cases, you're going to spend $500-600 a month, up to, 1,000 is a good number. If you have the right person working for you, if you want to really boost it up a little bit, after you start getting results, you just boost it up a little bit more, and you just keep pushing the investment in your business, as long as you're making a good return on the investment. I hope that helps. It's a little vague, but hope it helps.
Another question. A participant selling products through Etsy wants to know what's the best way to get her links to come up on Google.
From Etsy?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure exactly, because I don't really know Etsy very well. But my guess is that it's probably a keyword-driven tool or platform. People are searching for specific things. And so once you know the basics of, like, if you, let me go back and show you something for a second. You see here, this one right here. So Industrial Metal Painters, Oregon. Industrial Painting and Coatings, Oregon. Okay. And then this is what's called the title tag. Now, in the back end of your website, there's a little field where you can put in your title tag. You can also put in this description here where it says we work with steel, concrete, and masonry, blah, blah, blah. You can also add that's called a meta description. Now, if you were to try and do the same thing over in YouTube, they do not give you the same field, but this would be your title. And so you could do a title like this, and then you could create a description down below. This is the same thing. I don't care whether it's a blog, it's a page, it's a description on a Amazon product or something on Etsy. It's really all based on the same exact thing. So if you understand this, and the better you get at it, the better the results are going to be. It's the entire internet is based on this one strategy, like keywords. It's keywords and how to use them. Sometimes you want to use, like in this one here, I find that it's easier to get ranked locally when you have the town name or the state or county in the tail end of the title rather than the beginning. This is going to be a lot harder to rank for industrial painting and coatings. Now I'm getting into a whole nother topic, but I can help you with that if you need some help with it.
Okay, good. Another question on Google My Business. I guess it does change over time. That is Google My Business. What's the best way to kind of keep up on changes to the Google My Business process, and to make sure you're still able to take most advantage of it?
You can easily do some searches online. We do have a newsletter that we send out, and I am starting a private Facebook group. I do have a private Facebook group called Local Marketing Strategies, where I talk about these kind of things a lot. But I would say that, getting involved in Facebook groups is a really good way to, get involved with, some of the private groups where there's this kind of conversation happening. I would say that that's a really great way to go about staying in touch, with the changes out there. But I will tell you, with all the noise of all the changes that have been going on, what I'm talking about here, I've been doing these same strategies since I got since I started in the internet 15 years ago. It's really based on the same model. Things have not changed quite as much as you think. It's evolved. I wouldn't say it's changed. We're still getting backlinks. Years ago we used to be able to create articles and submit them to, you used to be able to write an article, submit it to an article directory, and link it over to your website, and you could get backlinks that way. Well, article marketing is no longer valid, but there's many other ways to get backlinks, from like guest blog posts, which is basically the same thing as article marketing, except that you have to pay to get on these other sites to get these backlinks. Or if you wanted to, submit a press release and get picked up by hundreds of news sites, you put a link in the body of your article, and it links over to your site. So if you get picked up by Yahoo, for example, and you have a link on an article that you submitted to them, to your website, that's a very valuable link. So it's really, this whole concept really hasn't changed as much. I think there's a lot of noise about how it changes, but I think if you follow these, the right model, you're going to be fine for a long time.
Okay, thank you. Ed, that's all the questions we have for today. Thank you very much. And as a reminder, a recording of this webinar and the materials are available soon on fairfieldcounty.score.org website. Our next webinar will be tomorrow at noon on how to get a handle on your email inbox with Belinda Wasser presenting. Please register for this webinar at fairfieldcounty.score.org. And again, SCORE offers free individual counseling, so please use the link on our website to request a mentor. And please fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end of the webinar here coming up. Again, Ed, thank you very much for an excellent presentation. And thank you to Pitney Bowes for sponsoring today's webinar. Thank you all for attending SCORE's live webinar today, and hope everybody has a nice day and stay healthy.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Ed.
Recording is ending.